Welcome everyone to today's webinar titled 1 year after the Beijing Winter Olympics, Opportunities in China's Winter Sports Sector for EU SMEs. The webinar today is organized by the EU SME Centre in collaboration with the China Italy Chamber of Commerce, as well as Avantage Austria, Business Finland and FinCham Beijing. So I am Elika Jürgenson. I am managing the EU SME Centre's training center, and I will be the host for today's event. So let's look at our agenda. Today in the agenda, we will at first start with a presentation from Ms. Li Chang, the Executive Vice President of Asia Digital Group, and her presentation will be titled Status Quo and Trends in China's Ice and Snow Industry. After her presentation, we will move to the panel discussions. We will have today 2 panels, and joining us in the first panel will be Mr. Remigio Brunelli from Beijing Technica Sports Equipment, Mr. Xing She from Suomen Biathlon, Mr. Yan Li from Saane Doppelmayr Transport Systems, and Mr. Andy New from Weppe Oy Peltonen. In the second panel, joining us will be Mr. E. Lee from Snow and Ice Center Sunak Tourism, Mr. Florian Hajieri from Techno Alpin, and Ms. Wendy Luo from Vuokatti Sport Resorts. And our panels will be moderated by Mr. Juha Tuominen, Chairman of FinCham Beijing. So before we will let the presenters speak and hear from everything about the Winter Olympics, let's also learn about the EU SME Centre and what the project can do for SMEs in Europe and EU SMEs in China. So EU SME Centre is a European Union initiative. It's funded under the Single Market Programme, and it provides comprehensive range of hands-on support services to European small and medium-sized enterprises, getting them ready to do business in China. So the project was already launched back in 2010, and it is currently in its 4th phase. The project is implemented by a consortium of 6 partners and associated partners, and you can see all of the partners and associated partners logos here on the slide. The EU SME Centre provides advice and support in 4 areas, namely business development, law, standards and conformity, and human resources. So now let's take a quick look at the services that the EU SME Centre provides. So the Centre provides a self-diagnosis tool, which is an online tool that SMEs can use to measure their readiness for accessing China market. This is a tool that we recommend all of the SMEs to start their journey to doing business in China. So to check what they would need to know, and if they already have all the knowledge they need. So through SME Centre, EU SME Centre's website, you can access also the Knowledge Centre. It is a comprehensive library of market reports, guides, and case studies to improve really your knowledge on China market. One core service is confidential and practical advice that the EU SME Centre provides, helping SMEs to save money while they get the right information to support their business decisions. We have an IP business advisor. We have a business advisor on board who can answer all of your questions, all of the inquiries that you may have about entering China or doing business in China, managing your business. We also operate a training center, which provides online trainings to block the knowledge and skills gaps of SMEs entering China markets. So today's webinar is part of the training center's organized events. Finally, the EU SME Centre also operates an advocacy center, which is providing coherent, consistent, and consolidated voice for EU SMEs vis-à-vis the Chinese policymakers. But well, that's enough about the EU SME Centre. I would now also invite Mr. Renzo Isler to say a few welcoming words and introduce the China-Italy Chamber of Commerce. Renzo, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Helika. Dear friends, allow me to welcome you all to today's event, which we at the China-Italy Chamber of Commerce are promoting as the leading consortium partners of the EU SME Centre. The China-Italy Chamber of Commerce is today the sole representative association of the Italian enterprises in China. Our scope is to boost the internationalization of Italian businesses and to promote the Made in Italy in this vast continent, I would call it. In terms of our membership, we have about 800 members that are associated to us, to the Italian Chamber, and they are spread about across China. We have been over 31 years in China and have been continuously growing, both in terms of number of associates as well as in the revenues. We belong to the so-called Italian system, which encompasses the Italian embassy and consulate, the Italian trade agency, the Italian Cultural Institute, and the Italian Tourism Board. And we are currently operating out of 7 cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Suzhou, Chongqing, Chengdu, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. And our 8th office is to be inaugurated at the end of March of this year in Tianjin. The services that we can offer to our associates provide the right platform to sustain their business and gives the right support, accompanying them in the path to growth and hopefully success in China. You can see on this chart, on this slide, the many different activities that we perform, which we try to complement also with the basic services that the EU SME Centre is being providing to all of you, and which Elika declined before. The event today, the event that we're co-hosting today, is titled 1 year after the Beijing Winter Olympics, opportunities in China's winter sports sector for European SMEs. This is a fascinating topic, to be honest, which will reflect on the outcomes of the historical Olympic twin event in Beijing and subsequent promotional acts that have been rolled out by the Chinese government in an effort to boost winter sports across the masses in China. I wish to thank our partners in this event, the Business Finland and Avantage Austria, and as well as the Chamber of Commerce, for their professional cooperation and support. Enjoy this training seminar and don't be shy in asking questions. We would always be very happy to answer them. But I couldn't close my remarks without reminding you all to connect with Italy on the next Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina in 2026. Thank you all for the attention and enjoy the seminar.
Thank you, Renzo, for those kind welcoming words. I would now also like to invite Mr. Jesse Wang from Business Finland for welcoming words. Jesse, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jesse Wang and from Business Finland. Business Finland is a Finnish government organization and responsible for innovation, funding, trade and invest in Finland and visit Finland promotion. Business Finland has 680 specialists at 42 foreign locations and 16 offices in Finland. Business Finland is a part of Team Finland, and we work together with our embassy team and Finnish chamber team to provide the service to Finnish company customers. Winter from Finland. Finland has over 100 years and the history of a winter sport. Is the world leading and the nation in the fields of winter sport, education, training, designing support infrastructure and the venue, technical innovation, equipment and the products. Finnish winter attracts tourists and athletes from all over the world. Finland and China have a long history on winter sport cooperation. Many Finnish companies have been engaged in the campaign of 300 million Chinese people participate in the winter sport. Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Game and the Paralympic Game was a remarkable event. We are very proud of the Finnish companies, technology and the service supported this great event successfully and held. And of course, we are also very excited to see the Finnish athlete win the Olympic medals. We believe the success of the Beijing Olympic Games has been significantly influenced Chinese young generation to take part in this sport that could lead the China winter sport market is promising. Thank you very much for EU SME Centre to host this webinar. Offers the opportunity to us today, and we have a chance to meet online and update China's winter sport development, discuss the opportunity and the challenges to European companies in China, and share our insights. We think this may benefit you rethink your China strategy and fine-tune your business plan. I do wish everyone enjoyed the discussion and have a good time this afternoon. Again, thank you very much to the webinar organizer, especially thanks to Ms. Helga Jorgensen. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Jesse, for the welcoming words. I would now also like to ask Mr. Robert Strobel from Avantage Austria for the welcoming words as well. Robert, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning to our participants in Europe and good afternoon to everyone joining from China. So my name is Robert Strobel. I'm very happy to welcome you on behalf of Avantage Austria. And Avantage Austria is part of the Austrian Chamber of Commerce. It's a bit different than the other chambers. So we have compulsory membership. So all Austrian companies have to be members. And we also promote their interests in China with 6 offices. So Austria and the Alps are renowned around the world for both winter sports and a large number of famous winter sport events. And we're very glad to be part of this webinar today. Many of our winter sport pioneers could already successfully participate projects in the growing Chinese winter sports market and for the Winter Olympic Games last year. Some you will even hear on the panels later today. We still see a lot of potential in the Chinese winter sports market. So I'm really looking forward to today's discussion and wish you all interesting and informative session. Thank you very much, everybody, for hosting.
Thank you, Robert, for the welcoming words. And now, finally, let's start with the presentations. Let's learn more about the China's winter sports market. So, Ms. Li Chang, the floor is yours.
Okay, yes, I'd like to first of all share some of the developments of the winter sports industry in China, some figures and statistics. And then after that, I will also share some of our own thoughts on the new consumption trend in China. And eventually, I will quickly also brief what kind of resources we have, and especially what we are doing in the winter sports industry from like our company side. And here you can see, first of all, if we're looking at the whole industry of the winter sports in China, as we noticed that because of the COVID-19, the pandemic, there is actually a huge drop in the year 2020 in terms of the total output of the winter sports industry. But however, as we have predicted before, it is forecasted that the whole output of the winter sports industry in China will outreach 1 trillion by the year 2025. And so far, sorry for this expected number, because we are still finalizing some calculation. But at least what is for sure, that is by the year 2021, we noticed that we have already reached about 600 billion RMB in the whole industry. And when we are looking at the sports venues for like ice and snow activities, and we noticed for the past few years, either in terms of the ice rinks or the ski resorts, China has actually been very active building up all the facilities. And I think last week, I was also in Chengdu, and also Mr. Yi was there as well. We were in Sunak, in his place. And a bunch of people from the ski resorts and also a lot of friends, we were gathering. And we were saying that actually, even after the Olympic Games, we can see that the number of the winter sports venues have still been increasing. I guess later on, maybe in the panel discussion, Mr. Yang Li, also my friend from Dobemer, he will also maybe share the similar view, given his statistics from the cable cars, that he would probably have the deals in China in the forthcoming years. So we can see that for this trend, even after the Winter Olympic Games, it is still increasing. And also, we have some analysis of the districts of the places for the sports venue. Still, we can see that the majorities are still in the northern part, but we have noticed this increase of the venues and facilities in the southern areas. Especially, there are a lot of indoor ski resorts and also some ice rinks in the shopping malls and etc. So this is related to the sports venues. And if we are looking at the people that have been involved in the winter sports, it is also increasing. I remember when we were having the Winter Olympic Games last year, when I was also discussing the issue with many people from IOC, and they were saying that it is amazing that China has really reached the goal that we set a few years ago before the Olympic Games. That is to engage 300 million people on the ice and snow activities. So we have some figures also showing that even after the Winter Olympic Games, the numbers are still increasing as well. And here we can actually also see that when we are looking at the consumption on the winter sports tourism, and we noticed that despite this impacts because of the pandemic in the year 2020, and still we can see that for the whole tourism consumption in winter sports have increased also a lot compared to a few years ago. And we can also notice that when we are looking at the cities, especially the first tier cities, most of the income or actually the consumption are still actually focusing in the first tier cities. And that is one phenomenon we have not only observed in the winter sports industry. Later on, when I share some information on the new consumption in China, we will notice that it's true for most of the activities that are related to tourism and also entertainment. And we can also see here from this forecast for the next few years, especially by the year 2024 to 2025, we noticed that actually the whole output related to the winter sports tourism will kind of almost like nearly double, yes, what is the current situation. So we are very positive about the future development for the winter sports tourism. One of the reasons is true is because of this kind of revenge consumption by the Chinese people, especially after the pandemic. And also another reason, I guess, because for the past few years, because of the pandemic, there have been a lot of restrictions on traveling, especially international trips. So for the Chinese people, yes, the major market for the Chinese people actually are within China. So especially for last year, we see there is also very big increase in terms of the winter sports consumption and also on the equipments and apparels and etc. in last year. And in particular for last spring festival, even though we were still in the pandemic time period. And when we are actually looking further into the different regions, we noticed that nowadays it's not only the north, but also the southern areas and also the coastal areas. The winter sports have been developing also very fast because of the boost of the Winter Olympic Games in 2022. However, we also see a lot of potential in some areas. I can give you one example. For example, for Xinjiang region, many of you may probably have already been there. For Altai, I think that's very beautiful. Every single time when I was there, I was thinking I was in Europe and also in the Alps. And we noticed that currently the total consumption level on the winter sports tourism is not that high yet. But now we do see this trend of increasing in the future, and especially not only in Xinjiang area, but also in a lot of southern provinces as well. And now we will also share some statistics on the equipments and also apparels, some interesting finding. And also, we would love to discuss more details with the audience sitting in front of the screen later on, or even after this event. And we noticed that actually here we can see for the equipments, we compared the international, like yes, imported equipments and also the domestic one. I think it is very obvious that we may have a lot of equipments imported from abroad, especially those heavy machineries. And also at the beginning, I was also even thinking for cable cars and also all those like, yes, equipments, snow cannons and etc. But however, from the figure here, we can see that for the majority, actually, for the cableways in China at all the ski resorts, even though we have imported a lot, but the majority are still from China. And I guess the reason behind it is because for this kind of infrastructure, we started them a few years, like a long time before the Olympic Games. And many of the ski resorts were still using the old like cables that are produced and made by China, even not that advanced. But however, when 2022 Olympic Games came, we do see this very huge increase of the heavy machineries. From here, we can see that it is actually, here we can see that for the national ones, the increase of the machineries that are made in China is not as fast as those that are imported from abroad. And also another thing I would like to share is related to the personal apparels. And before actually going into some detailed numbers here, I would like to say that we made a lot of analysis before comparing the structure of the sports industry in China and in the US and also in Europe. we noticed that for the Chinese one, it's not that balanced. More than half, actually, of more than 50% of our output actually have been always from the sports costumes and apparels. And this has also been reflected here from the numbers. And you can see that, for example, the suits and also the small apparels, still the national brands from China dominated the market. But however, when we are talking about snowboards or those equipments, I guess, with more technology or technology intensive, and we can see that we do have a lot that are imported from abroad. And if we're looking at the increase of these two categories, it's also very obvious here as well. And also, if we go further into the details of each specific items, and we can see that still, the costumes, and especially we had this data from the Spring Festival from 2022, that snow season. And we noticed, despite of the impacts of the COVID-19, also because of this revenge consumption, it has been increasing greatly. And it's also hard to imagine. I remember when I was talking with some ski resorts owner in Chongli near Beijing last year. For the hotel room one night, yes, easily it could go up to 2,000 or even to 3,000 RMB for some rooms. So that actually also shows that, also that's my feeling. For the past few years, even though we have been impacted greatly by the COVID-19, but I think only 1 year was seriously, I guess, impacted, 1 or 1.5 years. And later on, because of this revenge consumption, we do see yes, it's getting better and better. And there are also some interesting analysis when we are looking at the skis and also the apparels at the ski resorts. We noticed that most of the consumers are still yes, renting the equipments, and most of them are the imported sports equipments. That has also shown one thing, that is we are still at the beginning stage of the development of winter sports industry in China. For many of the skiers, they are actually still the first time skier, just to have some experience of skiing or have some experience maybe just of the fun with the snow. So most of the equipments and also the skis are rented. And if we go further into the whole consumer market for the winter sports industry, and we can see that for the different actually categories we have collected from different platforms, there is one very interesting phenomenon. For the past few years, because of the COVID-19, everything I think went online and digital very fast. And this was also what was happening within the winter sports industry. For example, at the ski resorts or at the shopping malls, many stores were closed. So even also for my friend who is running this skiing apparels, and they started to launch some app or they started to cooperate with many platforms like DJ or Taobao or even Xiaohongshu, all those kind of new media channels. And we noticed that by this kind of platform, the sales actually goes up, and at the very beginning increased quite greatly. But I guess because of the base is very low, yes, from 0 to 1. But still, we do see now it has become a kind of trend. Even yes, nowadays we have our skiing app, the Chinese one, and with many stores or shops. and also stuffs sold on the skiing apps. So digitalization is something we have observed. And also another thing we have observed is this kind of tourism scale, tourism volume. And here we can see that for the past few years, there are so many more companies that have been registered in the field of the winter sports tourism. For example, from 2016, like fewer than 100, just within a few years, and we noticed that this is like 3 or even 4 times of the number at the very beginning. So this has all shown that for the past few years, we should really thank the Olympic Game 2022. The winter sports industry is really increasing very fast in China. And now we can also go a little bit deeper. When we are looking at where the consumers spend their money for the past few years. And of course, we noticed for the last snow season, the major expenditure actually was for accommodation or like ski passes and also some leisure. And we also noticed that the average consumption was not that big. But that also shows we have so many first-time skier in China compared to the markets and also the consumer segments in Europe and also in the US. And now we can see that when we are looking at the sales volume and also the booking for the previous snow season, and we have noticed that when we are looking at the age of the consumer, it's actually obviously around like 30 to 40 years old. That's also one of the reasons last time when we were at Mr. Yi's Sunak place in Chengdu, we were told that for the snowboarding and the skiing activities there, and also in China, the majority of the people on the snow actually are snowboarding. The highest number we have got from Timor analysis, that is like over 85%. I also have some other figures we have collected ourselves for the past few snow seasons. That's around 75% of the people that are involved in snow-like activities are snowboarding, like as people. And people like us think it's very cool, like as activity. And another thing I would like to say that is very obvious phenomenon in China, that is with the development of all the increase of the winter sports tourism, we noticed that the winter sports training and also the even the camps for the youngsters and also for the adults have becoming more and more popular and also have been increasing like yes greatly. When we are analyzing different sports, we noticed that for the past year, the increase in skiing, yes, are actually the largest. But also when we are looking at the training of the winter sports market in China, you can see that, sorry, I guess these slides originally are from the Chinese version. So the calculation of the number, I can elaborate a little bit. For example, for last snow season, we are still calculating and checking the number, but it is expected to be around 55 billion RMB. So quite a large market. And we also see many companies and also many organizations still are coming into the Chinese market in the training like part. Previously, we know at a lot of ski resorts, we have all the different systems from France, from Italy, from Austria, yeah, from Canada, New Zealand. And still nowadays, we noticed that also for the General Administration of Sports of China, they started to set up the own standards of skiing coaches and also the skiing training program. And nowadays, we do see also many the Chinese training school for skiing and also coaches in China, very popular now. And this is related to the training market. And also, as I mentioned just now, we noticed for most of the people that are involved in the business, in the winter sports business, or sports are from 29 to 45. And here we can see that also when we are talking about the training or the trainees, it is still also the similar age, slightly younger. And especially when we are looking at the trend of the increase of the training for the kids in China, you can see that it has been increasing very steadily, yes, in the past few years. And I think also behind this, there are a lot of opportunities. Like for last year, when I was talking with many ski resort owners, and they were discussing like different kind of activities and camps for young people at the ski resorts. And I guess that's a very good opportunity for many European companies that are in this field, or American companies, or any companies that are from the very developed like countries in terms of the winter sports. I think right now, after the COVID-19, I'm pretty sure there will be also so many Chinese people going out, not only for skiing, but also for this kind of international skiing training. I mean, not just for the professional athletes, but also for the amateur, especially for the kids at some kind of winter camps abroad. So that's actually some numbers I would like to share with you all. And I guess the question we have been asked a lot for the past few years is whether the Olympic game, especially the post-Olympic era or the COVID-19 have very big impacts on the development of the winter sports industry or not. So here we did some preliminary analysis and also some studies. And it's true that at the very beginning, when we were hit by the COVID-19, I still remember like 2 years ago, we were having a lot of seminars at ski resorts or at hotels, even though the ski resorts were not open at all. And we were discussing what actually would be the best way to help develop the winter sports in China in the COVID-19 era. At that time, we would notice that many ski resorts were closed, and also many games were canceled. I remember when I was also talking with FIS, and they said the whole office was busy canceling like 100 to 200 events all over the whole world. And also this would definitely increase the other parts of the chain of the winter sports. For example, the heavy machinery and also the training, the apparels and etc. But however, now we do see, after a few years, we do see this promising trend of increasing potential of the winter sports tourism, training, and etc. And especially after the 2022 Olympic game, I think it is even more optimistic than what I was thinking before the game. I remember when I was interviewed by some media before 2022, and they were asking me to forecast what would be the situation after the 2022 Beijing game. At that time, I was still saying, I thought surely there will be some slowdown of development or increase of the development of winter sports in China. and we would enter into some new normal, growing steadily, but very slowly. However, I think from what we have observed from last snow season, 2022 to 2023, and also from many gatherings with the friends in this circle for the past few months, I think it is even better than we were thinking. Well, partly because of the revenge consumption, but also the other observation is, I think the 2022 Olympic Games have really triggered the interest of the Chinese people into winter sports, and also have popularized this game. So we do see from all the above numbers and statistics, the Chinese people start, to, I think more and more people, are getting not just involved, but also falling in love with winter sports. And also many of my friends, they start also even to have a longer winter sports vacation at the ski resorts for 1 week or 2 weeks. So that also shows not only the number of the people that are involved or related to winter sports in China have increased, but also for each specific person, the time, the money, and etc. they spent actually in winter sports have also been increasing as well. So I guess this is what is happening in China. And that means we are gradually building up the culture of winter sports. So that's really some good news we have seen after the COVID-19. And surely when we are looking at the future development, there are a lot of suggestions and etc. I wouldn't go into the details. However, when we are looking at the impacts of the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, here I wouldn't repeat that, either in terms of the total numbers of skiers or the venues or the apparels and everything. I think we have the increasing number. And one thing I would like to say that from here, you can see when we are comparing China with the rest of the whole world, the skiers actually, the percentage of the skier is only 1% skier visits, in terms of the whole population. So that means we do have actually very large potential to increase this number. And also given the current situation that the Chinese economy has also been developing quite stably and also steadily. So the consumption level of per capita in China has also increased. So all this means that after the 2022 Games and also after the COVID-19, we do see very good market and potential for winter sports. And also we do see great potential of the collaboration between China and the rest of the whole world in this field. Either the Chinese tourists going to Europe or America, or the importing of the facilities and apparels and etc. And also including the soft skills, the expertise, for example, how to run some games and how to operate the venues or the ice making technology and etc. So there are a lot of opportunities in China, I would like to say. And of course, actually, there are some challenges as well. So next, I would like to see that I would like to share some of the very quick view. Yes, this was not actually in the original slides. It's some analysis we have done actually for the consumption markets in China. I will very quickly, 1 or 2 minutes to go through. We have noticed that for the first tier, sorry, it's in Chinese because I just added it and I would like to share it just before the event. So we noticed that the first tier, like a city consumption level, almost doubled, yes, the national average. So that means our resources, our business opportunities are in the first tier cities, also in the fields of the winter sports industry. And the middle class is our major consumer segments, from actually their willingness to consume and also their ability to consume. And also the young people, as I mentioned, the age. And some interesting phenomenon is the individualized and also customized needs we need to think about when we are designing the products at the ski resorts or at the shops for winter sports. And also very interesting thing is this social community characteristic. So if actually you share something like at WeChat moments or Xiaohongshu, yes, you can see easily it can spread out. That would increase actually the sales and etc. business leads. But that also means that maybe the business models nowadays, when doing business in China, we should think about the changes. And here also the channels, the platforms, like yes, it has also been evolving from the 5 or even 15 years ago till now. And another thing that is interesting, phenomenon, something really typical Chinese starts to be also very popular as well. So when you're designing some products, I think the combination, of some Western flavor together, maybe something a very traditional Chinese, that would be also popular. Last but not least, quickly, I guess many of my old friends here, you have already known our company. I just want to quickly share some resources in winter sports so that we can start some collaboration. We have actually our ADG sports focusing on venture capital and incubator, and also in sports as well. We invested in many sports companies, and also in front, and also tourism destination. Also GIS China, that's the program together with FIS and Rossignol, our investment. So this is something that we would like to cooperate with you. And also we have our market research business line. We are generating this annual report for winter sports industry in China every year. And so far, that is the only report covering all the areas, in winter sports. And we have actually our winter sports, actually sports tourism media alliance from both China and also abroad. We have also our media publication, National Geographic, that's our brand, fashion magazine Bazaar. Yes, and these are our resources. If you would need or utilize any of that, you can let us know. Another business line is the event management. And in particular, we are running the World Winter Sports Expo 7 years ago before the Olympic Games. And I have always been asked whether this will continue or not. The good news is definitely, yes, we will. And we are aiming to make it bigger and bigger. So this year, September, in Beijing, we are waiting for you to join us. And we are trying to make it, one of the biggest gala event for winter sports in the whole world. So from the above numbers and also statistical information, those are actually the things I would like to share with you. Due to the time being, I would really love to discuss more and exchange points of views with you, either later on or after the events, online or offline. And last but not least, I would also really like to thank the organizer, the EU SME Centre, and also CICC and Business Finland, the film, Suomesta, and also Avantage, Austria. So very happy to share the information with you all, and also really looking forward to work together with you to boost the development of winter sports industry in China, and also for all of us, to have the win-win situation for all. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Li Chang, for this excellent presentation. We got a lot of information about the winter sports in China, so that was great. Because one of our panelists has a meeting right after the panel, so we will take the questions after the panel discussions. So let's hold your questions until after the panel discussions. So now I would like to ask the panelists to unmute themselves. So Mr. Remigio Brunelli, Mr. Xing She, Mr. Yan Li, and Mr. Andy New, would you please unmute yourselves? And our panel will today be moderated by Mr. Juha Tuominen from FinCham. So Mr. Juha Tuominen, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Helika, and thank you for organizing this today. Regular sound check. Can you hear me?
Yep.
See heads nodding. All right. Great to see so many people online today. 20 seconds I'll use on introducing myself. So as mentioned, my name is Juha Tuominen, and I'm the chairman of FinCham Beijing. FinCham Beijing is an association by Finnish companies for Finnish companies. And together with our sister organizations in Shanghai and Guangdong, we represent roughly 2/3 of Finnish companies doing business in China. And as we are today talking about winter sport, I must say that I am in the FinCham, I am the representative of the city of Lahti from Finland. And in about 3 weeks, Lahti is hosting the annual World Cup of Nordic skiing. And this year marks the 100th year anniversary of the Lahti ski games. So Lahti and Finland, we have a very long tradition in winter sport. But then let's go to the topic at hand. So we have a very impressive lineup of panelists today. And to start off, maybe we can do so that you do each panelist first introduce yourself and your company and how long you have been active in China. And let's try to keep this part a bit shorter. Maybe we can start with Mr. Brunelli.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for hosting me today. It's going to be a pleasure to sharing some insight from the Chinese market, specifically for the winter sports. My name is Remigio Brunelli. I'm working and living in China since 2005. I'm working for Technica Group China, that is a subsidiary of Technica Group, a leading sports group based in the north of Italy, in the Dolomiti Mountains area. Technica Group is focused on outdoor sports, especially winter and trekking. And in China, we mainly carry out sales and marketing activities, also supporting the production department of Technica Group for the part relating to the Chinese production.
All right, thank you. And next, Mr. Xing She, Suomen Biathlon, who I believe is joining from Finland.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you here online. And my name is Xing She, and I work for Finnish biathlon company as China market director. My hometown in China is Beijing, but I've been in Finland as also entrepreneur for over 13 years. And our company produces biathlon targets and provide shooting result timing service for all the main biathlon international games. And I work on site for Beijing Winter Olympics and the Paralympic with our team for the whole process in 50 days in the bubble. And I'm happy now after 1 year, we are still working actively in winter sports in biathlon. And now it's Italian time for next Winter Olympics. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, Mr. Yan Li, General Manager, Shanghai Doppelmayr Transport Systems Company Limited.
Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be participating in this great event to introduce some information about the winter sport ski industry in China. My name is Yan Li, the general manager of Doppelmayr China. Doppelmayr is an Austrian company, family-owned, established in 1893. In the last 130 years, we focused only on one thing, that's rope-propelled transport systems. That means with the aerial ropeways, ski lifts, and also urban transport. Doppelmayr has registered the local subsidiary since 1995, which year is called the beginning of the era of the Chinese public skiing. Since then, we have supplied more than 140 installations to various tourism resorts, ski resorts, and until now that we are the leading imported ropeway equipment supplier on the Chinese market. Thank you.
Thank you. And then last but definitely not least, Mr. Andy New, Vice President of WPOY Peltonen.
Thank you, Juha. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to represent WPOY to attend today's meetings. WPOY, we are actually mainly manufacture the ice hockey dashboard in the 2022 Beijing Olympics, which supply all the competition and the training rinks, totally 8 sets. So we are from the 26 into the Chinese market, and nowadays more and more the Chinese arenas use the WPOY's ice hockey rinks. So yeah, it's very glad to represent the WPOY to attend today's meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So to start with, China's winter sport industry had already seen unprecedented growth in the years before the Olympics. The Beijing Winter Olympics were expected to spark even wider consumer interest in winter sports in China. So my question now has 2 parts. Could you describe what impact did the Beijing Winter Olympics have to your sector? And many of the favorable policies for e.g. winter sports venue construction announced before the Olympics were set temporarily. How do you see this affecting the market in the longer term, including both opportunities and challenges? So the impact of the Beijing Olympics into the market, and what does the future look like, opportunities and challenges? And maybe we rotate who speaks first. So if Mr. Xing Xi from Suomen Biathlon could start.
Thank you very much for your question. I think Beijing Winter Olympics enhanced the biathlon market for us, especially in China, because biathlon is not a very popular sport in China, because so few people play this game before Winter Olympics. But after Beijing won the hosting right for Beijing 2022, we started to pay more attention to this sport, and a lot of new athletes were selected from different other sports to biathlon. And also before, I think 2-3 years before Beijing Winter Olympics, we worked very intensively with Chinese Winter Sport Committee, and we established 2 national biathlon training centers in China, which use our targets and the shooting result system. And all these training centers supported the preparation of Chinese biathlon team before Beijing 2022, and after Beijing 2022, more this biathlon sports got more popularity in China and still growing. Just last week and also the 2 weeks before, there are Chinese national biathlon championship hosted in Yinchuan City. and I saw from the news and also our operational team on site. So really this is continue. More people get training in biathlon, and this will build an even brighter future for biathlon sports from our perspective. And it's a good start also for the preparation of Finland or Cortina Winter Olympic in 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Mr. Yan Li.
Yeah, thank you. In my industry, that as I mentioned, that since 1995, China started the public skiing era, and since 1996, with the host of the third Asian Winter Olympic Games in Yavuli, that we as Doppelmayr saw the huge potential and opportunity for the development of the winter sport, including ski resort in China. So that's why we established our own subsidiary here, and also we supplied to a few big-scale ski resort at that time, for example, in Yavuli, Beidahu, and also in Changbaishan Wanda ski resort. But the real development, we expected fast growth since the 1995, 1996. But actually, the growing and also the acknowledging of the sports among the public was not so inspiring, not so fast, that it took some years until another round before, just right before the successful bidding of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games. I can say that before the 2012, 2011, we supplied the equipment to China. The percentage in the ski resort, in the winter sport related, is only about 15%. And then the most installations equipment are supplied for the tourism purposes to the place of interest, mountains, etc. But since 2012 until now, I have the simple statistics that the number of installations used in the ski resort jumped double. It's about 29%, including all the lifts for the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics in the Alpine Ski Center, and also for the Genting Ski Resort, Songhuahu, etc. After the Olympics, there is still some potential projects, of course, not only the imported equipment, also the domestic manufacturers has a great opportunity to supply ropeway equipment for this ski resort development. So in my opinion, that the successful bid to host the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games is one of the big booster for the industry here in China.
All right, thank you. And then next, Mr. Niu, how about the impact of the Olympics and challenges and opportunities going forward?
Okay, thank you, Juha. Yeah, actually, because we are support all the Winter Olympics for the 2022 ice hockey games. So that more and more Chinese know the Vaping, this brand, represented the higher quality of the ice hockey sport. And besides the Olympic project, we also have the Hangzhou Olympic Centers and the Xi'an Olympic Centers and so on, a lot of the projects during this period. Yeah, so of course, we think that the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics give the Vaping good opportunity to development in Chinese market. So even now, after the Olympics, still have some project, they want the higher qualities. They also want to copy with us. So I think that's the influence from the Olympics. And for the, for example, in Hebei province, actually the Sport Bureau of Hebei province, they suggest totally 200 new ice hockey rinks in the Hebei province. So that's our opportunities. Yeah, and even now the temporary policies are finished, but because more and more people are familiar to the ice hockey, so I think that will be a long, good influence to this sport, to our market. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And then last but not least, maybe more on the consumer side, Mr. Brunelli.
Yeah, but related to my segment and Silas, I'd like to divide the impact of Beijing Winter Olympics Games in the Chinese market in 3 phases. Like had, have, and will be, or will have. The first phase is definitely since July 2015 to January 20. Beijing was selected as the host Winter Olympic Games in 2022 and became the first city ever to host both summer and winter edition. And this one has been definitely a period of amazing enthusiasm at 360 degrees, either from ski resorts, end users, club, association, instructor. In some way, it was like living in a dream became true after the 2008 Olympics in summer. The second phase, unfortunately, is January 20 till January 23. That has been a dramatic slowdown, which has not dampened the enthusiasm of the winter sports fans, but has put a pressure on the overall winter industries, particularly the commercial and service related industries. The third phase is from now on, the real great opportunity, the real momentum to evaluate the growth of the winter sport in China in order to consolidate itself as a sport and recreational reality and to rise up to become one of the most important markets in the world. So it's going to be the biggest part now on. In terms of business opportunities and challenge, and I can't just answer you related to the alpine ski and snowboarding sector is concerned, for which the Winter Olympic Games definitely have brought a clear and stable benefit in terms of on-site infrastructure, like talking about ski resorts, indoor ski dome, ski dry centers, and also public transportation and hospitality. While soft skills, there is a lot of work at all levels to do, I would like to say, because mainly the end user are growing faster and finalizing their own demand compared to the opportunity that the system is able to offer. So that is going to be the biggest challenge, I would like to say, especially now that the consumer, they are able to back to traveling around the world and to continue to increase in their own experience and their own customer satisfaction. So in one sentence, is the customer satisfaction that is the big challenge that the winter market need to cope with and facing in the next, I would like to say, 3 to 5 years.
Thank you. So I guess based on all the answers, we can all agree that the winter sport market opportunity doesn't end with the Olympics here in China. It goes beyond that. Moving on to the next topic that was actually touched already a bit in the previous answers, but while there is less talk about COVID-19 now, the lockdowns, especially in 2022, had an impact on many businesses. In your experience, how do you evaluate the impact of restrictions to winter sports sector development, and what kind of mitigation measures help you and your company through the difficult times? And let's start with Mr. Yang Li.
Yeah, with the 3 years pandemic, with all the lockdowns and shutdowns of the venues, not only in the winter sport, but also all of the public areas, etc., with the travel restrictions, it was really a great impact to all the businesses, not only in the winter sport, including tourism, including the retail, the consumer oriented businesses. It was hard, and also because of the owners, the investors, with all those restrictions, without the customer, no income, and they have to burden the heavy financial interests for the investment, for equipment, for the venue. It was not really the situation everybody expect, and also most of our customers, they really hanging on very much, especially in the ski resort. They to make the construction here in China with the ski resort from zero up to a scale you can make some money from the infrastructures, including our heavy equipment, and also the power, the water, the electricity, etc. They have to use. But our project, our product, it's a little bit different than the consumables. We need to have a certain length of time to complete a project. So during this period, although with the difficulties with our people went through quarantine, went through these restrictions from one point to another, you have to go into 2 weeks, even some worse time, 2 weeks plus 1 week plus another week quarantine, which was really, really difficult to execute the project. But although these difficulties exist, we have been completed many projects which was going on. So like the ski resort in Tonghua, Wanfeng ski resort, we completed 4 installations under the very difficult circumstances, and then get it opened after the Olympics. So, oh no, sorry, before the Olympics. That this is may not represent all the industries, all the products, but we have been through together with the customer, and with their confidence, with their support and understanding, that we could really went through these difficult times. Since end of 2022, everything with the lockdowns, with the shutdowns, with the travel restrictions lift off, then I can see the confidence and the belief in the potential of the ski winter sport ski industry, and then the people are coming back into the resort, participated into the sport skiing, and especially I can see from the young families send their children into ski schools, training camps, and really support them to participate in this new trend after the Beijing Winter Olympic Games. So I think that this is the essential. I said it several times before the pandemic already during the different seminars that to have new blood into the industry, especially the young generation, is crucially important. This is our basis. This is the basis of the industry. With the more successfully transformed into skiers, and then the industry will last. Otherwise, if you have an empty venue, that doesn't help anybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And how about from WebES point of view and the COVID-19 impact, and how did you mitigate difficulties?
Thank you, Juha. Yeah, actually, just as Mr. Yang said, the COVID-19 influenced all the societies, all the world. Yeah, of course, that will be some influence on our product, our market. Yeah, just I mentioned, even because of the Winter Olympics, our brand, more and more people know, due to the COVID-19, after the Olympics, most of the projects need to be delayed because of the quarantines. So fortunately now we are all back, right? So we just keep in touch with our customers, and we have two solutions in our development. First one, because of the COVID-19, we know a lot of the customs, they cut down their budget. So we think about we will to manufacture the type of our products and suit the Chinese market, and that will be some part we will manufacture in China, so that will be the cost. But we, of course, we will keep the quality. The second way is that in this time, we're doing the new product research. We have our new generation dashboard. We call this smart LED dashboard, which now have already supplied in the Nokia Center in Finland. So this is Chinese team and the Finland team together to doing this R&Ds, so that we prepare for the futures. So that's what we do. I think because of now the COVID-19 has passed, so the future will bright. So we have the competition in the Chinese market. Of course, we also need to find the right way to suit now the situation. And we hope this, I hope it is for the can be in China more and more popular. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, Mr. Brunelli, you earlier already described the COVID as its own development era in Chinese winter sports. So how do you see the impact of the restrictions and any measures you took to sail through them?
As I said before, I mean, it's not just only 2022. I mean, it's if you see over the last 4 seasons, we never got any kind of a complete season. So we always have incomplete and an uncertain season from all point of view in terms of possibility to move in across China, because especially the people that could be moving inside of the cities, but not cross over the provinces or even some county. And definitely that's been impacted the turnover. I would like to say that, especially in my sector, the brick and mortars, they drop in around 50% at least. While this soft goods was a little bit mitigated, the difficulties that thanks to the online channel has been said before, is quite an interesting vehicle to reaching consumers in this moment, particularly in the winter sports that is quite pretty new in over the last 2-3 years. Surely recently the new policies of possibility of moving inside of China is generating a new significant increase of sales and attendance. I just was back from Chongli area, and I confirm that the traffic and the enthusiasm is still be there. So that is definitely a good thing. Related to the measurements that we try to do to mitigating the difficulties, well, in addition to the classic company optimization action that, I mean, I don't have to explain what they are because it's quite easy to understand it. The two more important things for me has been that we keep a good networking with the indoor channel, both artificial snow, so ski dome, and magic carpet, so dry snow, what they call it in China. Two rapidly growing phenomena in the large urban centers, which has made possible to maintain a direct contact with the consumers and keeping the enthusiasm of them quite alive. The other one has been inside of our networking in terms of stakeholders to keep a good connection with resorts, ski clubs, coaches system, has been helping us to at least to evaluate the opportunities in a short time, because we were not possible to make any kind of mid-long plan, and we was mainly working on a weekly plan, but at least to be informed and to keep us updated about the small opportunities that we got over the last 3 years.
All right, thank you. And finally, Mr. Xingshi, from Suomen Biathlon point of view, how was the COVID-19 and what kind of measures did you take?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And indeed, past 3 years went in a very tricky way. And also, I mentioned we participated in Beijing 2022, but before that, our team also visited China twice, and for the installation of our shooting targets and also for the test competition in 2021. From our side, after Winter Olympic, because we provide this professional shooting system, which is not a consumer product, but from our side, we will have 3 lines to continue our business. The first thing is that we will train and develop our own local service team for the local maintenance and timing service for the future. And just last month, we appointed one of the best international referee in biathlon from China as our technical partner. And we are working with him so that in the future, we can do on-site timing and shooting result service with our local partner and mainly by them. And also, our friends mentioned this economic impact from COVID, which bring hard situation to venue owners. And from our side, it's not only to do our own business, and we will also work with the venue owner, for example, with Zhangjiakou National Biathlon Center, to help them to change the shooting range or use part of the equipment as to some entertainment functionality to help them gain some extra revenue out of the sports, but from the promotion of biathlon competition and make this sports more popular in China. I think in these two ways, we can still continue our professional service and also play a role in promoting the sport itself.
Thank you, Simon. I guess we can all agree that the last 3 years were, well, less favorable, and we are all happy that they are past us. And but also has to be said that it also pushed many companies, like we heard also earlier, to improve themselves, for example, in terms of digitalization, and hopefully the benefits from those will continue for years to come. Last and final question for our panelists. What advice would you give to EU SMEs planning to enter China's winter sports market in the future? And now we will start with Mr. Andy New.
Okay, thank you. I have two suggestions. First one, doing the research first, because of due to the difference between the China and the Europe. So we usually suggest that the Europe SMEs, if they have interest in Chinese market, it's best to doing the research first to find what is the best solution for their production into the Chinese market. Last year, we have supported 5 Finland companies doing this kind of research. It's all about the winter sports. And you know that usually the Europe, the product actually is higher qualities, but at the same time it's very expensive. So how to suit the Chinese market? This should be to doing the research, through the research to find the right way. The second thing is that to find the right partners due to the difference of the cultures. So, you know, of course, usually the Chinese know Chinese. So find the right partners in China is very important. So that will be, you know, how to find the good market, and so you can just development in China more easy. So finally, because I'm also the China Association, the vice president of the China Association of Small and Medium Commercial Enterprises. So yeah, maybe in the future so we have more opportunity to help more and more the Europe MSC to enter the Chinese market, and we also hope in the future, especially after the COVID-19, the China and the Europe SME have more better futures. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. How about Mr. Brunelli? Advices for European SMEs?
The first is a bit provocation. I would like to say, I'm sorry to be that. If they really want to enter, that is the question, for the first question that I suggested to answer, because over the last 18 years, I saw different companies or from different countries that they approaching the market in a little bit more, I would like to say, soft way, like an attempt. And therefore, I link it what the previous panelists just say. So if you're really keen to visit the market and dedicate the right amount of time to know it. avoiding to reaching hasty conclusions. Because the Chinese consumers, that's not different significantly from the Western one, are the distribution and social media and communication that have a very particular characteristics, especially when compared to the European winter system. That's are my two advices.
Thank you. And how about Mr. Xing Shi?
Yeah, thank you. And one thing came into my mind. I still remember when Helika introduced EU SME Centre. The service is to provide or to promote collaboration to help European companies develop in China and also work with Chinese companies. So from this point, I would like to say my advice is to please don't forget this collaboration is always two ways. When you provide products, when you sell your products in China, don't forget to bring Chinese products or Chinese teams to Italy. When we provide our target system to China, we also work with our local training center and invited Chinese team can come to Finland for training. And it's, I think you can know more about this in next kind of discussion because Volgadi Training Center, they are our customer, and also they collaborated with us. I think in 2017 or 18 in hosting Hebei Paralympic, no, not Hebei, but Chinese Paralympic national team in Volgadi. So please remember this double-way collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Yang Li.
Thank you. That the market in China, not only on the winter sport section, the general market is huge. For the European SMEs, if you want to enter Chinese market, I would like to advise that firstly, positioning your product in the right place. And secondly, always in front. That means keep your most advanced technology equipment to bring them into the Chinese market. And secondly, no compromise on quality, technology, and services. In this case, you can stand on the market and then to keep your position. That means do not compete with the prices, because the compete with the prices, always you cannot last. Thank you.
Thank you all. And if I try to quickly summarize the last answer into 3 points. So let's say for EU SMEs to remember, it's collaboration, it's knowing the market and knowing the specifications of the market, and finally stay yourself. Don't give up on quality. Don't start competing with price. Be yourself. Thank you for all the panelists of this panel.
Thank you also from my side to all the panelists.
Thank you.
And thank you also to Mr. Xing Shi for emphasizing our services. Thank you. So let's invite the second panelist, the panelists for the second panel to join. So Mr. Yi Li from the Snow, Ice and Sunak Tourism, Mr. Florian Hagieri from Decno Alpine, and Ms. Wendy Luo from Vuokatti Sport Resort. Please unmute yourselves for the panel. And of course, Mr. Juha Tuominen will continue as our moderator, and so the floor is yours once again.
Thank you, Helika. Let's start off the same way as we did just now. So please introduce yourself and what your company does in China briefly. Let's start with Mr. Yi Li.
Hello, everyone. It's really an honor to join this event, and it's really my place. And I'm working for Sonac as the IS SME Centre. We operation 7 ski domes in China. We opened the first one in Harbin in 2017, and still the biggest indoor ski facility in the world. Is recorded by the Guinness record. And in 2019, we opened another 3 in Guangzhou, Wuxi, and also Kunming in the south of China. And in 2020, we opened another 2 in Chengdu and Chongqing. And last year in November, we opened another one in Wuhan. And at the moment, 1 year, we can have 2.5 million ski customers. And really hope to discuss some ski industry question today with everybody together.
Thank you. And next up, Mr. Florian Hacheri. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, it's perfect. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry, like it seems my camera is not working, but I will try to fix it soon. Shortly to myself, my name is Florian Hacheri. I'm the GM of a company called Techno-Alpine. Techno-Alpine is a company founded in the 1990s in Italy. It's a privately owned company, and it is the global leader in snowmaking solutions. So currently, Techno-Alpine has a global market share of around 60% in this product category. And also in the Chinese market, we are currently the market leader when it comes to snowmaking solutions. We also have a different brand with which we here manage in China. The brand is called Engo. It's a brand that mostly makes like ice rink equipment. So specifically ice resurfacing machines and also dashboards. Techno-Alpine entered China in the early 2000s. In the very beginning, we entered the Chinese market through agents. But then in 2014, we saw that the potential in the market is very big and decided to found our own branch office here close to Beijing in Yanjiao. And in 2018, we opened our own production facility here in Zhangjiakou. At this very moment, we operate through these 2 branch offices, and we manage like various different operations here in China, from sales to project management, after sales, production, and research and development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hacheri. And next is Miss Wendy Luo, who I believe is joining us from Finland.
Yes. Hello, Johan. Nice to see you. Long time no see you. Okay, so I'm a project manager in a Winter Olympic Training Center. Of course, I'm attending this meeting from Finland, from the middle of Finland. So our Olympic Training Center, we are the official partner of the Winter Sport Management Center of GAS and National Power Committees China. So now we are the biggest winter sport training center abroad for the Chinese winter sports. And then besides, we provide the training program to the Chinese winter sports. We also provide consultancy services to the Chinese market, Chinese companies. For example, we help the Jilin indoor ski tunnel project, which are in the Jilin province, Jilin city. And we also provide the consulting service to the company who want to build up a cross-country laboratory. Actually, cross-country ski laboratory. Actually, this cross-country laboratory we will have here, we cooperated with the Jyväskylä University in Finland. So, but also we are also running our tourism business. So we provide our tourism products to the Chinese market. for example, summer and winter camp to the ordinary Chinese travelers. But of course, it is before the COVID. We will see this year. So this is mainly what we are doing in Chinese market.
Thank you, Wendy. Next question for all our panelists. Can you introduce one characteristic project or case that your company has worked on in China, including background challenges and perhaps key takeaways that you took from it, something that would especially benefit European SMEs? And I know this is a topic that all of you could probably give a full lecture on, but I'm hoping that your answers would be a bit more concise. And let's start with Mr. Hacheri.
All right, thank you. For Techno Alpine, the biggest challenge definitely was the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. As some people here might know, like Techno Alpine was the provider of all the snowmaking systems for all the venues of the Beijing 2022 Olympics. And the most challenging of these was definitely the Yanqing National Alpine Ski Resort. It was the largest and the most complex project from a technical point of view, but not just that. So the project included like several different very important stakeholders, like the IOC, BOCOG, FIS, and also the investors operation team. And for us, it was definitely a very new and a very very big challenge to satisfy the requirements of all of these different stakeholders. And at the same time, like all the staff which had the previous experience in such Olympic projects, they were mostly blocked or very restricted due to the COVID travel restrictions. But in the end, the local staff here did a phenomenal job. All the snowmaking was done successfully, and the feedback from the athletes and all the stakeholders and the other institutions was highly positive. And the key learning that I personally took from this specific event is that the local staff here is much more capable than we usually credit them for. As I see, like many of the SMEs, they're hesitant to give more and more responsibility to the local branches. And in my opinion, this was just a huge learning experience for me. And also it made the branch more important in the views of our HQ and also stronger. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Florian. And how about you, Mr. Yili?
Yeah, like I introduced in the last question, we're running mainly the ski dome in China because we found out in China, for most areas, we don't have really like the mountain you have in Europe, and the snow condition is not wild like in Europe or the North American. So we really want to give the experience for the most Chinese people, especially in the south of China, the area with the sea, which is all the city have most of the people they spend money a lot. So the first one we opened in Harbin is still in the northeast area, which is the traditional ice and the snow center in China. So the special thing is like we're running like the whole year, so the people come to Harbin still can ski in the summertime. And we also have a lot of training team from like the Far East, from Russia, from Japan, from Korea, and also from that project we also have a lot of experience to have a better slopes and better snow conditions for the ski indoor. So after we opened the ski dome in Guangzhou, and then we found out in the south of China, the people really curious and really want to join the snow world. It's not only come to see the snow, they really come to ski or snowboard, especially snowboard. Like Mrs. Zhang Li said before, like last week we were together in Chengdu. It's also one of the biggest ski dome we opened in 2020, and inside we have like a really decent snow parks, and then like the Olympic winner Su Yiming and Ai Linggu is also training summer time in 2021 to prepare for the Olympics. So the moment we're running at the 7 ski domes, like I said before, we can have a 1 year for 2.5 million. The really people going there for ski or snowboard. So after that, we find that we need to transform all these skier snowboard to the real mountains. So we also talking with some ski resorts in China in the northeast in Xinjiang, and then we help them to do the operation and also transform all the skiers snowboard from south of China to the real mountains. So that is also one of my requests. And after, I really want to find some good resorts, ski resort in Europe, and to after the COVID-19, after we open the border, we can also send a lot new skiers and new snowboarders to Europe. That's also something I want to discuss with in this conference. And also one thing we really focus to do is to introduce the ski and the snowboard to all the Chinese students, because in our ski dome is in the city, so it's really easy to organize especially the south of the south area of China, the schools to try ski or snowboard in our ski domes. So we want to training more beginners or more kids to join the winter sport. And that is also the second resource I want to asking for from EU, so we can to find some good quality training system from Europe. First, maybe like the ski instructor systems, and also some ski race system. That's also we want to find some results from Europe. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Luo.
Yep. So one of the characteristic project that we have cooperated with Chinese market is obviously to cooperate with Winter Sports Center. So in May of 2018, Minister Go, at the time still Minister Go, and his delegation visit Wagadi Sport through his trip. So we reached agreement that Wagadi Sport will train winter sports athletes for Chinese winter sports. So since then, the winter sports GAS, I put it in simple, GAS, and Chinese Rowing Association and Chinese Ice Hockey Association signed a contract with us. So then they sent more than 200, I think it's 250 Chinese athletes and the staff to come to work at this sport for training and winter sports, including the cross-country national team, Nordic combined national team, biathlon team, just now mentioned by Xin Li. Yes, I think, and then they also the ice hockey team, both male and female. So according to the roughly statistics, we think total nights the Chinese national winter sport national team staying work at these before the Beijing Olympic Game is more than 40,000 nights. So we not only provide Chinese athletes the food, accommodation, the training facility, but we also provide our coaching services, medical services, and even the English classes. We hired English teacher to teach the Chinese athletes English. So for the challenges that we have met is, I think we really have to try to help the athletes to get used to the long time training life abroad. So this is quite challenges for us. And also the training concept between the Finnish style and then the Chinese style. So we need to communicate more with the Chinese coaches team. So so what we learned from it is that we think the most important is understanding each other. It's very important. Not only the language, we understand each other. Of course, we have a translator, but also the culture, the training system, the training concept. So we, I think the important, or what I say is, you mentioned here, the key takeaway, I think, is understanding is very important. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you for these answers. And if I again try to sum up that, maybe we could sum up with like, opportunities are plenty, so are the challenges, but with proper effort and cooperation and, like Wendy said, understanding, they are all overcomable. Good. Next question. The Winter Olympics introduced Chinese consumers to a variety of new winter sports, while the supporting policies like the Winter Sports Development Plan further encourage taking up various winter sports. What are some of the trends in the sector that you have witnessed? And a follow-up question on this, that how do you see development of Chinese winter sport related travel and tourism during this post-COVID period? And I would like to divide the scope of the second question so that for Mr. Hacheri and Mr. Yi Li, talking about Chinese domestic market tourism, and for Ms. Luo, the international travel. So, Ms. Luo, you first. What are the new trends in this sector that you have noticed, and what's your take on outbound Chinese winter sport tourism now in this, let's call it post-COVID period?
Yes, we really got many inquiries from the different travel agencies in China since the beginning of this year. So they are all consultants or asking an offer from us about our summer camp or even winter camp. Because we are the Olympic Training Center, and thanks for the Beijing Olympic Games, so I think many Chinese families and kids or the ordinary travelers, they are so interested about the winter sports. So then we got quite many these kind of inquiries, and then they told us that the upsurge of the Chinese outboard travelers will be seen soon. But if I'm right that it seems Finland still not in the list of the outboard destination country for the group traveling. So we are still waiting, but we have lots of sources that told us that it will be a lot. And also I want to tell a little bit about the Mr. Li. Just now you mentioned you try to find some the training center or sports center in Europe. Actually, we are also one of the very good sports center for the snowboarding also. Chinese snowboarding team, they came to here for training every year before before the 2001, 2019. So every year they came here. So we are also a good destination for your company's business.
Okay.
So
Nice to hear.
that's what I want to say.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. So prospects look good, and clearly Ms. Luo and Mr. Yi Li need to have a phone call after this webinar. So moving on now to Mr. Yi Li, how do you see the new trends in winter sports here in China, and then what does it look like for domestic winter sport related tourism?
Yeah, I think for us, we feel really, we can really feel it, because the Winter Olympics, especially like in the last year this time, and all our ski dome is full of people, because they are watching Olympic Games, and then they say the Olympic star is especially from our team China. We have like swimming and Ailingu. So I remember last year in January, February, like for example in Guangzhou, we have a 75 square meter ski dome. We have 3 slopes and 1 chairlift. I mean, if compared to the outside ski resort, is really, really small one, but we can have 8,000 people per day. We open from 8 o'clock in the morning and until 12 in the middle night. So I think that we really, as a operation team for the ski resort in China, we can really feel it. And also, there's one point I also really find out after the Olympic is so many young people, new people, they are joining for ski and snowboard, because like me, I'm working already in the ski industry for almost 16 years, and I think before 2015. Like every year in the ski resort, you say the people are always the same, and you can say a lot your friend every year you meet in the winter time. And but in the last 3 years, especially like last year and this year, you saw so many new people, and they are young people, and we have a figure is like. From the age 18 to age 20 to 35 is already is the majority people in our ski dome. I think it's also similar for all the ski resorts. So the people, they spend also a lot of money for the jacket. You can see a lot of new brand. And they follow as a trend. It's not only as a winter sport. And then all the young people, they come in for ski and then for party. So that is something I think is a big change. And another point is, like I said before, the kids. You can say, like, because I working in Switzerland for winter season as ski instructors in 2012, and then in that time I saw a lot of kids, like maybe only 2 or 3 already coming for learning skis. But in that time in China, you really rarely to see some kids to ski. Maybe after 10 they come with their parents, and then they join the ski. But in the last 3 years, especially last year after the Olympics, now you can see a lot of kids, really small kids. So in last summer, we have to order a lot of new skis and a snowboard for the very small kids. because before we don't have that big number for this size of a ski or snowboard, but now you have to prepare a lot of small skis and snowboard for the kids. So that is also one of the big change. And also, like, I'm working in Beijing, headquarters in Beijing, headquarters in Beijing, and in the winter time you can heard a lot of people they are discuss about, like, when we go to ski and when we what kind of equipment we need to buy. I think that is a big change for me as operation for the ski resort, as a skier already for 16 years. I think in the last 3 years it's a big change. You know, a lot of people they are drawing for the ski market. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So if I would sum up, I would say that again, positive outlook, but also the demand is diversifying. So more different snow sports getting the interest of Chinese consumers. All right, and then finally for this, Mr. Hacheri, from a snowmaking point of view, have you seen any new trends in the sector, and how do you and your customers see the domestic winter sport related tourism?
Mm-hmm. All right. So yes, also from my side, I clearly see like some specific trends, especially like China specific. One big thing that I think is very China specific is the prevalence of the indoor skiing facilities here. As also like we have the prominent member here, Mr. Yi Li. It's a very China specific phenomenon, and it's very, very interesting because I think one big driver that is a really key driver for the revenue of a ski resort is infrastructure. And of course, if you place the ski resort in the middle of a metropolitan area, you are at a big advantage. And I think also this is why in China, where we have like such a high degree of urbanization, this is a business model that is at the moment very successful and will also keep on growing in the future. The second thing that is a more recent movement that I see like since the last maybe 1-2 years is that there's a lot of new outdoor ski resorts in the Xinjiang area. So at the moment, we also see a lot of new projects in this area, very interesting projects. This area is very much like almost like the European Alpine area, because the mountains, they offer a very high vertical drop. And also the nature is very, it has a very, very beautiful nature. And like for me personally, the area reminds me very much of the European Alpine area. And at the moment, we see a lot of new discussion and project planning going on in this area. And in my belief, it will become one of the big Chinese ski hotspots besides the Jilin and the Chongli area. Regarding the development of the Chinese market, I think like for this year, what we saw is that since the end of the Chinese COVID restrictions were still so fresh, I think it still had like a negative impact. Like for China, like what is in Europe, the Christmas holidays is in China, the Chinese New Year's holidays. And I think for this year, many people still had some concerns, as there was like some fear for a new COVID wave and so on. It's a fear that did not materialize, but yet did have like a impact, in my opinion, and that the potential of the industry did not really come out for this year. But I feel like for the next winter, I'm extremely confident that there will be like a huge boom in this winter sports industry, and I think we look at a great year ahead. Regarding the long-term development, I always think of the example of Japan, because Japan a few years ago had around 50 million, so 50 million skiers. But within a few years, the number of skiers went down dramatically. So at the moment they are around 15 million, so 15 million skiers. And it's basically just because skiing mostly there went out of trend. And sometimes like people from the company, but also people outside, they ask me if the Chinese industry is really sustainable, like also for sure, because the industry grew so quickly. And what I tell them is basically what I see. So when I go to the Chinese ski resorts and winter sports facilities, I see an extremely young demographic. So it's mostly people in their 20s, in their early 30s. And I think this demographic really maximizes the impact of the investment, because this demographic really has the most power in shaping the culture of a country. And not only that, but I think also this industry is extremely tech savvy. And in China, like the online platforms have like a very huge influence. And I think since the demographic is so young, I also see the effect that they carry along, like much, much bigger. And I think really the passion and the enthusiasm they carry in the winter sports really makes huge waves. So what I tell them is, like, based on from what I see, I feel that the long-term development will remain very positive in the winter sports industry. And I really think that it's here to stay. And it is really like a long-term good development that we are looking out to. Yes, this would be my assessment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hacheri. So sum up 3 points. First, there will be diversification in terms of areas. Second, well, actually 2 key points. And second is that the demographics of winter sport consumers is rather young, we might say, and that will hopefully carry through the years, meaning that the winter sport prospect in China is still positive. Thank you. And now to our last question, the same as in the first panel. And as we are quite much over time already, I would hope to you to say maybe 1 or 2 key advices to give to EU SMEs planning to enter China winter sport market. And we have gone around already, so Mr. Yi Li, you start.
Yeah, I think already mentioned before what kind of a resource we really want to get from EU, and also I discussed already before with Miso. It's also one of a really important person for my career. Like we said, as operation a ski indoor and also ski resort outdoor, we really want to keep the people stay in ski, in snowboard, and they are coming more often. So we really want to find a good system for ski teaching. We want to let them to the first time and also coming second time and more. And also, which is already happening in most of our operation ski lawn. For example, in Guangzhou, like when we just open, we can have like I said, 7,000 people per day. But most of the people, they are stay only in the beginning area. But after 1 year running, after more people, they are joining our ski school program, and the every day is queuing already in the chairlift. You can see more people, they are going to intermediate and advanced slopes. So we want to keep moving for the ski training, ski education resource. That's we really want to find from Europe. And like I said before, we want to send our kids to the Europe in the future, because this year we already try to organize our ski team from 6 to 12, to ask them to go to a training in Beidahu, which is one of the biggest ski resorts in China in the northeast. And they really enjoyed. And after they went to the real mountain, they come back, they spend more money for their training. So after we open the border, we really want to send some of our best kids to Europe to get a better training program. And the third, we also really want to have maybe some ski instructor training program. Either they coming to China to training in our ski dome or the ski resort, or maybe we can send our instructor to Europe. That's also one of the point which I get benefit from, because I was working one winter season in Switzerland, and then we find there's really good ski instructor program as well. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. And next up, Mr. Archeri, any advice to EU SMEs planning to enter China?
Yes. For me, the main advice, like for the Chinese winter sports industry, is that this is a market too big to miss out on. So like the first advice would be like to really just go ahead and establish a local presence, get firsthand experience. And because from what I observe is that the many companies that access the market only via agent, they're always a bit worse than a real local branch at representing the brand, at communicating the brand, at handling the service. And in my opinion, from what I personally experienced, it that this factor can easily make the difference between win or lose. The second advice would be to develop like a China-specific strategy. It is, I think, very important in China to identify the right market and the right approach for your market. As I also like many times saw that just to copy paste the global approach for the Chinese market is not always like the right approach. And the third thing is to monitor the market closely. So the Chinese market is highly agile. Things here change very quickly. And to monitor the market firsthand is really crucial to stay relevant. That would be it.
All right, thank you. And finally, Ms. Luo, advice for EU SMEs.
Yes, my advice is quite simple. I think it's very important is to try to understand the background before you try to enter the Chinese market, and try to understand their business and their culture. So that's what my advice is.
Okay, so thank you. If I would sum that up to maybe 2 or 3 points. First, don't miss out on the significant market. Second, get to know the market. And third, again, collaboration, working together. Thank you for these panelists as well. And I think I will give the floor to Helika now.
Yes, thank you very much, Juha, for moderating all of the panels today. And of course, thank you also for the panelists for joining today's panel. I am sorry that we are so much over time today, but I believe our discussions were very interesting. I see that we do not have any questions, so I think we're going to just end the webinar without the Q&A session today. So that I want to again thank everyone for participating today's webinar. It was very interesting, and I'd also like to, let me just put up one more slide. I'd like to ask for everyone to provide us quick feedback. Please do scan the QR code and help us improve our services. And of course, if anyone has questions still about the winter sports market in China, then please do get in touch with us, the EU SME Centre, and we can advise you about entering China's winter sports market. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone, all the speakers today, all the panelists today for joining us, and I wish you good evening here in China, good day like in Europe. Thank you very much. Bye.